Hey kids, we are going to learn about the parts of a poem. We're going to learn everything that poems have and how it's different than other types of writing. Stay tuned. This is the page I'm using in this video. If you want to grab yourself a copy, you can click the link in the description box below, or you can just keep watching and see what you learn. For this activity, you're going to need some scissors, a glue stick, some highlighters or colored pencils, and I'm using some pens because they show up really well in the videos, but you can just use a pencil in case you make a mistake. All right, so you need to get this piece cut out, just cut around the outside black lines, and then you're going to cut this out and you're going to have to cut close to that dotted line because it's going to have to fit inside of here. So when you get those two things cut out, you can join me again. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold on these lines. So just turn the paper so that you can fold and see the black line. So you're just going to fold it so that you can get it right on that black line. And then you're going to fold this one, and you kind of want it to meet in the middle and open like a little book. So you may have to kind of play with it a little bit to get it to meet just right. I maybe folded that one a little too much, but it's okay. It works. You just kind of want to get it, see, I got it a little bit off, but that's okay. So once you've got it folded like that, you are going to glue this section, and it says to cut along the dotted lines, but we're going to glue first. It just works better that way. And you really want to get this outside done, and then I just put like a big X in the center. Okay, and then you're going to put this down and kind of center it on the page, and then just open it up and smooth it down there. And you may play with your folds a little bit more, but they don't have to be perfect. Then you're going to open it up, and this piece that you cut out before, you're going to glue right inside so that when this closes, it's going to be like a little book that you're opening inside. So just kind of make sure it fits. You may have to trim some off on the edge. And then I like to put the glue inside here. And then just line it up on one side and you should be good to go, and then just smooth it out. Okay, if you need to pause the video and catch up, you can do that. So we're going to be talking about several things that you'll find in poetry. Voice or speaker, okay? That's who is speaking in the poem. The poem doesn't necessarily have to be spoken by the person who wrote it. They could be a grown woman, but she's writing like she's a little girl or writing like she's a cat. It doesn't matter. It's just who's speaking. Lines, we're going to learn what those are, a stanza and a rhyme scheme. We're going to go ahead and read the poem first. This is a poem by Jack Perletsky. He's one of my favorite poets. He writes a lot of poetry for kids, and they're usually pretty funny. This poem is called I Met a Dragon Face to Face. I met a dragon face to face the year when I was 10. I took a trip to outer space. I braved a pirate's den. I wrestled with a wicked troll and fought a great white shark. I trailed a rabbit down a hole. I hunted for a snark. I stowed aboard a submarine. I opened magic doors. I traveled in a time machine and searched for dinosaurs. I climbed atop a giant's head. I found a pot of gold. I did all this in books I read when I was 10 years old. So did you think about who was writing? Did you think about who was telling this? Well, that's the first thing we're actually going to talk about. We're going to talk about voice or speaker. And when we talk about that, we're actually going to look for things and highlight them in blue. So I'm going to color code this right here in blue. And then I'm going to look at the definition over here. The speaker in a poem, which could be the poet, or it could be a character the poet created. So it could be the poet, or it could be a character that he or she created. It could be an animal. All right, now we're going to open it up and we're going to look for some clues to help us find the speaker in this poem. Now, some of the clues I see is I see the word I, and we know when we see I, it's talking about the character who's speaking, or it could be the author, it could be the poet. So I'm going to find all of these I's and notice these. And I see a lot more down here that are actually being a little bit more specific. So when I look at this, it says, so this person is saying all of these amazing things he did. Met a dragon, was in a pirate's den, wrestled with a troll, trailed a rabbit down a hole. Do these things sound like things he really did? Or maybe things that happened in his imagination? Was aboard a submarine, opened magic doors, traveled in a time machine. Realistically, he didn't actually do all of these things. But it says down here at the bottom, it gives us the actual answer. I did all this in books I read when I was 10 years old. So this is, the speaker is really remembering all the adventures they had by reading books. So we're going to write over here a little note, and actually I think I'm going to put a little arrow right here and make it down here. I think we'll be better off writing down here. And we're just going to write a note. Okay, so we've got our note at the bottom. The speaker is a person remembering when they were young, and that's who is telling the story here. Now, it probably is really Jack Prelutsky remembering when he was young, but he has other poems he writes when it's not a real story and it's not something that really happened to him, and it may be an animal or it may be a made-up creature. But in this case, it really is a person remembering adventures they had through books when they were young. So go ahead and write that down at the bottom just to remind ourselves that that's who the speaker is. You can pause the video if you need to. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is line. Now you're thinking, well, I can draw a line, but what is a line in poetry? It is a single line of text from left to right. So those are words. It doesn't go the same way that a book does, where the sentences just keep on going and it's a complete sentence and you know it ended because there's a period or a question mark. But poetry just goes from left to right. And so every line from left to right is one line. It doesn't have to be a complete sentence. And some poems don't have any punctuation at the end and some poems do. It's just kind of up to the author how they want to do it. So we're going to underline in pink one single line of text. I met a dragon face to face. So that is one line. So if we counted up all the lines in this poem, there would be quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this looks like 8 as well. So there's 16 lines in this poem. So go ahead and underline that in pink. So in books, we think in sentences and paragraphs. Groups of sentences are called paragraphs. And in poetry, the groups of lines are called stanzas. And we're going to do this in green. A group of lines separated by a space. That's what it is. It's just a group of lines. All right, and when we open it up, we can see that we've got a group of lines here. And then there's like a bigger space here. And then we've got a group of lines here. So this poem has 8 lines grouped together and then 8 more lines grouped together. And that makes 2 stanzas. So each group is a stanza. Instead of a paragraph, it's a stanza. So I'm going to just draw a box around this stanza. Okay? And that's stanza 1. And this is stanza 2. And you could say that this is line 1, line 2, and you could go all the way down and count the lines. All right, go ahead and get that highlighted. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about in this video is rhyme scheme. You've probably heard the word rhyme before, and you probably recognize rhyming words, but you've probably never heard the word scheme. All it means is the pattern of rhymes within the poem. It's just where the rhymes are at and what the pattern is. So if we look at this poem, we can actually find some rhymes at the end of the lines. And usually your rhymes are always going to be at the end of the line. Sometimes you'll have them in the middle, but if there's rhymes in a poem, they're going to most often be found at the end of the line. So let's just look at some of these. We've got face and 10. Those clearly don't rhyme. And then I've got space. Well, face and space rhyme. So I'm going to do a highlight on face and a highlight on space. And then I go down here to den. Well, 10 and den rhyme. So that's a different rhyme. I'm going to circle 10 and circle den because those rhyme. Then I've got troll and shark. Those don't rhyme. Then I've got hole. Well, troll and hole rhyme. I'm going to do a triangle over troll. and a triangle over hole. And then I've got shark, and then hole, it doesn't rhyme, and then I've got snark. A snark is just like a fictitious creature. So shark and snark rhyme, so I'm going to do a box around them. So the pattern, if we look at the pattern, we can actually label it, and we can label it with letters. So what we'll do is we'll say the first rhyme is always going to be A. So this is A. 10 doesn't rhyme with face, so that's a new rhyme. That's B. Space rhymes with face, so that's an A. Den rhymes with 10, so that's a B. Troll doesn't rhyme with any of those, so it's a new letter. It's a C. Shark doesn't rhyme with any of those, so it's a new letter. It's a D. Hole rhymes with troll, so what's it going to be? Yeah, it's going to be a C. And snark rhymes with shark, so it's going to be a D. So the rhyme pattern here is A, B, A, B. And then if we kept going, since this is in the same stanza, C, D, C, D, but it's just going to keep repeating. It's going to be A, B, 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 A, B through the whole poem. It's going to be every other line rhymes. And that's a pretty common rhyme scheme that you'll find. Sometimes you'll have A, A, B, B, or sometimes you'll have A, B, A, C. So you'll just have 2 lines that rhyme and then 2 lines that don't. But this one, every other line rhymes. Okay, go ahead and mark that down. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is an introduction to the parts of a poem. If you want to see some more videos like this, go ahead and check out the links in the description below, and you can get all of my foldables through the link as well. Thanks for watching.